think of our reverence for God, but what about God's reverence for himself? God's reverence for his glory, his name, and his work. Does God do anything halfway? Does God do anything haphazardly? Is he not the most conscientious creator of all the creators that have ever created anything? And so when he made you, it was careful. It was purposed. It was with a whole lot of thought and a whole lot of effort. You were made in holiness by a holy God. Then David adds another word. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful in the Hebrew literally means to distinguish, to put a difference. The way that it's often used in the Old Testament is to be distinct, to be separated, be distinguished, to be wonderful. Wonderful doesn't just mean, oh, that's great. Wonderful means that's different. Wonderful means that's not like anything else. And in your case, that's not like anyone else. See, God is an artist. He makes with reverence, with distinctions and differences, because he makes with wonder. Our distinctions, our differences are not just planned by God or used by God. They were shaped by God. Amen. Why don't we think this way? Or why do we find it hard to think this way? Why do birds of a feather flock together rather than understanding that we have the same Father and he made us so different? Maybe it's so that we would fit together rather than push away from each other. Have you ever stopped for a minute to think that maybe Saul was head and shoulders taller than everyone else in Benjamin because that's how God wanted him? Have you ever thought that maybe David was ruddy and Esau was hairy and Ehud was left-handed, all by the hand of God for some sort of purpose in God? If it is our distinctions that make us wonderful, then I have to ask tonight, do we lose our wonder when we try to be the same? Is the reason that sometimes when we gather, there's not a lot of wonder because we gather with people who think like us, look like us, and act like us already. Maybe the lack of wonder is from us trying to be separated from everything and everyone rather than understanding that in God in everyone is a bit of God, not only because we're made in his image, but because we were made by his hand. The details are God's doing. The differences are God's doing. The parts that were determined for us were determined by God. You are who he made you to be. And maybe we'd stop trying to change stuff that doesn't need to be changed if we believe that this was the way I was meant to be made. David said that he is made by God and that God's works are marvelous. The Nelson Study Bible says that the last part of verse 14 could be rephrased this way: I am an awesome wonder.